It's Podmas! I'm scrolling TikTok at 3 a.m. because my nervous system's too fucked to go to sleep and I feel too anxious to put my phone down. Is that why I'm having an existential crisis? There are always going to be a million other things you could have decided to do. I'm broken. Woo! We have a fucking introduction. Can you believe it? Look at my Grinch mug. I say mine, it's actually my sister's. It is Podmas. The podcast is back. Wait, let me get comfortable. I'm glad I really dressed up for this podcast. The first episode of Podmas. Now, I thought, when do I want to come back? I finished the end of season 1, which I just decided was season 1 at the end of the final episode 23. And then I was like, right, how am I going to come back? Like, do I come back in the new year? Do I ever come back? And then I thought, okay, I did have the idea of doing Podmas or doing something. And I was like, okay, do I do like 12 days of Podmas or do I do the full vlog Podmas thing? And I thought, people do vlogs every day. People do Vlogmas. People do Podmas, okay? So I was like, right, I'm just the type of person who can't do things a little bit. Maybe this is some form of self-sabotage. But instead of being like, oh, I could just come back in December, I have to be like, oh no, I'm going to do 24 episodes in December. So that's what we're going to do. Same as exercise. I literally do this with everything. Instead of being like, oh, maybe I'll just go to the gym 3 days a week. Instead, I'm like, oh no, I'm just going to do the 75-day hard challenge, which I have done before. And I'm also considering doing again next year. But anyway, we are back. Let's see where this takes us. Now, I have been thinking this past month, let me just check how I look. Okay, I feel like I kind of look like I feel like I'm giving like Pat Butcher. I feel like my makeup's too orange. Weirdly, okay, does this ever happen to you? So I wear the exact same makeup every single time. The same foundation, the same e.l.f. skin tint. Every single time I ever wear makeup, that is what I use. It comes out different on my face every single time. Why do I look orange today? Maybe it's the light, I don't know, but it's something. Why is it a different color than it was the last time I put it on? I don't fucking know. Anyway, so oh my God, where do I even start? I have been thinking, okay, how do we make this podcast better? How do I make it more listenable? Probably not by chatting shit for the first 5 minutes, which I've already done. But I've been thinking, okay, maybe we need some sort of segments. And I'm subscribed to Zach Pogrob's newsletter. He does like Behavior Hack is his URL. And he talks about lots of like personal development stuff, business, obsession, creativity, all of that type of stuff. And in one of his latest newsletters, he talked about how the most successful podcasts or businesses or YouTube channels or anything are when people take something they already do in real life and just transfer it to the public. So, for example, Tim Ferriss was already having these incredible conversations with people in his real life. So he just translated that into a podcast where he interviewed people. And now he has like an incredible interviewing show because it was something he was already doing anyway. So I was like, okay, what do I already do in my life apart from chat shit that I could bring to the podcast? Welcome to the check-in jar. I don't have a name for this segment yet. I was sat this morning and I was like, fuck, I can't record this podcast before I have its name for what we're about to do. And then I was like, no, do you know what? That is ridiculous. You can't sit and not record this because you are waiting for a name. So at the moment, it's just called the check-in jar. Basically, something I do every single day, and I have been doing every single day pretty much for probably the past, 8 years, is journaling. I am a chronic journaler. It's something that I can't not do. It's something that when I do neglect, everything just spirals out of control. And my favorite thing in the world is when I'm feeling a bit uninspired, when I'm feeling a bit all over the place, is to just go to Pinterest, go to my journaling Pinterest board, look for a prompt that catches my attention and write about whatever the prompt says. And so I'm such a big journal prompt gal. And obviously that is not what word am I looking for? Oh, I'm having an aneurysm. Also, I'm trying to well, you might not agree with this so far. I was going to say I'm trying to talk slower, but what I'm actually going to do is, knowing that I'm going to have to edit, or not have to edit, that I get to edit, choose to edit 24 episodes in the next 24 days, I don't want there to be as much editing. Like, you would be so surprised at how much I cut and edit, because so much of what I say, I repeat, or I don't say perfectly, and then I will re-say it to try and make it more eloquent, which I'm sure I'll do, but I want to do that less, and I want to just get better at this being a normal conversation and having to cut less out. I'm still going to cut, because otherwise it would be fucking boring and nobody ever listened to it. But anyway, why did I bring that up? What was I talking about? The check-in jar. Journal prompts, not new revolutionary pieces of information, but they help me so much. And so I thought at the beginning of I'm just singing it out. So instead of making cuts, I'm just going to sing every time I fuck up. We're going to take a prompt from the check-in jar every single day at the beginning of the podcast, just to check in, to see where we are, to warm up our chatty feelers, and to see how you feel. So if you don't do journal prompts, maybe this would be a good time for you. If you do, and you have your favorite journal prompts, or you have questions, or when you hear something in this jar, you're like, ooh, I know a good question for the jar. I have created a form. I will put the link somewhere. I haven't actually created yet, but when you're listening to this, it will be in there. For you to submit your prompt for the morning check-in. So let's start our first one, shall we? I'm actually a bit nervous about this, because normally I kind of plan things that I'm going to say. Oh, my hand kept going to the same one, so I'm going to do that one. I normally plan things that I'm going to say, but obviously this can't be planned. Let's put this baby up here. Let's put it in. Make it so you can see it, shall we? Okay. This morning's check-in, I feel like I need to take a breath, is this. In what areas of your life would you like to grow? What areas of your life would you like to grow? Okay. In what areas of my life would I like to grow? I think something, so this is interesting, because I was actually writing about this a few days ago. I used to be probably like the most motivated, productive on paper person I know. Like, I was up at 5 a.m. every morning without an alarm. Every morning I would get up, I would walk, I would listen to a podcast, I would come home, journal, meditate, get ready. And then I would literally work all day on what I was doing. And that kind of commitment to productivity, it's something that I think I went too far the other way. I didn't really allow myself to have any fun. And so I think as a kind of recoil from that, kind of like an elastic band, I kind of stretched myself so far that I had to recoil. And so this year has been kind of my year of rest and relaxation, which I'm probably going to do another podcast on. But I've been very lax with the habits, the productivity. I've kind of just been like letting myself do what I want to do, which I think is fine and good. And I think it was very needed. But it's small things like waking up late. I don't know if my mum has always been an early riser. And me and my sisters, we were never really allowed to, it's not like we weren't allowed to lay in, but whenever it got to kind of like 8 or 8:30, when we were all younger, we all used to share a room. Mum would kind of find a reason to come into our room. She would like put the laundry away or be like, morning, should we do something? And we used to do a lot of things in the morning. Like, we used to go horse riding. We used to like do lots of things, like hobbies on the weekend. And Mum just wanted us to appreciate the mornings. Love you, Mum. But I think because of that, I was never like a lay-in type of gal. Maybe I was as like a later teenager. I can't really remember. But anyway, then I kind of joined my girl boss era a few years ago. And all of a sudden, I feel like when you enter kind of the girl boss, hustler, Gary Vee-esque environment, it's kind of like the earlier you get up, the more productive and successful you're going to be. You know, I feel like that's a very, very common narrative within like hustling, making a business. You know, like you have to work you work your 9 till 5 and then you come home and work 5 till 9 or whatever. But so I think I just put a very, very high emphasis on productivity and self-worth equals getting up early and doing these like productive habits. Sorry, I keep coughing because I have a cold or something. Don't know what I have, but it's something. Long story long, I feel like I've gone so far the other way now where I really struggle to get up early. I really find it hard to do pretty much anything. Like my drive and motivation to do the things that are good for me is really low. And so I guess coming back to the question, in what areas of your life would you like to grow? I would like to grow my commitment to myself again and those habits that I know make me feel good. Because when I was getting up every day, I was working a lot. But I think if I applied those productive habits to the life that I'm living now, I could get so much more done. So I feel like that's an area. And another area I would like to grow in, are there any more? I'm sure there are a billion. I just dropped it and whoa, I feel like I just dropped it and it disappeared. Oh, it's on the floor. That makes sense, seeing as I dropped it on the floor. Is there anywhere else I would like to grow? I think I would like to grow in the area of, actually, this is kind of relevant for this topic that I'm going to talk about today, actually, that I've got written down to talk about, is my area of being a good friend. I really want to, I feel like I've prided myself for a long time on being a person who's really hard to get hold of. And I've kind of famously, I can't remember if I've talked about this, but famously within my friend group, I have always been the one who's kind of hard to get hold of, doesn't respond to messages, wants to just meet in person. And I think that's true. Like I do find it hard to have elongated phone conversations. Getting on the phone, I do find a bit laborious sometimes. But I don't want to be the type of friend that takes 5 days to reply to something. I really value girl friendships now more than ever. And this is like the perfect segue, unplanned, into this topic, is that I value girl friendships in this period of my life so much that I want to become a better friend. And I've just recently been exposed to levels of friendship and levels of generosity and caring that has just been incredible to me. I met someone through the internet and we met in Paris in real life, and we only spent probably 12 hours together. And she sent me multiple things in the post. She sent me a birthday card and she signed it to my sister as well because I'm a twin. And she sent me a t-shirt, like a 1975 t-shirt, because we saw the 1975 together. She sent me a t-shirt, and it was just like those small acts of generosity that I don't know if they come super naturally to me, but I think I would really like to expand that area of just thinking about my friends more and really putting people that I really love and value first and kind of showing them that. I'd really like to grow in that area. So nice check-in. Love that one. Okay. I want to talk about, I thought, why not? It makes sense to kick this first episode off talking about the kind of foundation of the title of the podcast, and that is We're All Like Other Girls. And so this is kind of my notes and thoughts about the I'm not like other girls trope. Let's have a cup of tea from the Grinch mug, shall we? Do you want to listen? ASMR. Fun fact, I'm vegan. Actually, is this a fun fact? I don't even know. I didn't drink black tea for like 3 years after going vegan because I thought the idea of oat milk in black tea, like English tea, was revolting. And then one day I put oat milk in it and it was delightful. And my life was forever changed because I could drink tea again. Anyway, that was definitely not a fun fact. That was definitely the most boring thing I've probably ever said. Anyway, so let's talk about not being like other girls and our obsession with not being like other girls. Now, I think, so what actually sparked this? Because obviously I named the podcast after this, so I feel strongly about this. But I saw a post on the Influencers in the Wild Instagram, and it was just this girl taking selfies in an airport. She was basically doing, you know, the tube girl trend where their phone's like boop, 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 and they're like filming themselves. She's doing that in an airport with her suitcases. And influencers in the wild, I mean, you can kind of expect this type of commentary because it is an Instagram page just taking the piss out of influencers. But the comments were so fucking disappointing. Well, expected, but disappointing. It was basically filled with people absolutely annihilating her, saying, I never understand how people do this in public. What is it with people not being embarrassed these days? She needs to have shame. Can we please bring back bullying? Blah, blah, blah. Just basically people shitting on this girl. And what it made me think of is how we as a society have been brainwashed into hating conventionally attractive women and the kind of stereotypical girly girl or feminine girl or just the stereotypical girl, the traits that we give that girl to, we've been brainwashed into hating and chatting shit on. If you go on any viral video on, to be honest, it's worse on Instagram, I think, of a conventionally attractive girl or just a beautiful girl, you can guarantee the comments are, she's conceited, shallow, she thinks she's better than everyone else, blah, blah, blah. We just love to tear a pretty girl down, a conventionally pretty girl down. We have, under the patriarchy, yay, a tale as old as time. I'm getting bored of talking about this stupid fucking patriarchy. We have been taught to belittle the stereotypical girly girl. And this is kind of where the I'm not like other girls thing comes from. Because in society, we've created this belief system that stereotypical girly or feminine traits, when you think of like the stereotypical girl, that those traits are stupid and silly and less than and unworthy and unvalid. And so we kind of look down on them, and we see that all the time. I mean, Siri, play Taylor Swift, The Man. We've built this picture of what a girl looks like. And so we have these kind of stereotypical girly traits. I don't know, like liking pink and liking makeup and being emotional and all of these things that are like stereotypical. When you think of like girly Barbie, all of those traits we've labeled as kind of less than. And we've just deemed them as stupid and dumb and something we don't want to be like. And so because our society belittles these kind of girly traits, we feel as though in order to be respected as women and accepted and I guess like deemed worthy on the same playing field as, I mean, dare we say it, men, we feel like we have to reject those things to be valid. And that's so understandable. And so it makes sense that as we grow up, we kind of start looking at other women and we start hearing things from men and we're like, oh, okay, I need to separate myself from that kind of trope of being girly. I had an ex-boyfriend. This is not Casper the Ghost. This is my other ex-boyfriend. We'll call him... I was going to call him the one that got away, but maybe that's too close to the bone. We'll just call him ex-boyfriend for now. Maybe we'll tell a story about him another time. I remember him very, very vividly telling me that that something he liked about me was that I was the funniest girl he'd ever met. And he'd never met a girl that was as funny as me. He used to say, wow, you're so different. I don't remember him ever using the phrase, you're not like other girls. He was like, you're so different. You're so funny. You're so sarcastic. You can really take a joke. And so his way of complimenting me was separating me from other women. And he sincerely meant it as a compliment. He was like, damn girl, you're funny. But what that really kind of means is I don't really value women, but you're actually funny now I've got to know you. I mean, this is literally a tale as old as time. Like, this isn't the first example of a way that society and the patriarchy have worked to belittle women and make women things, traditionally female things, less than traditionally male things. A perfect example, an example that I have seen very, very readily over the past few months through my own experience is hobbies. Men will buy, and we're just talking, obviously I know women do this too, but we're talking about men. Men will buy season tickets to football teams and they will go every single weekend to watch these football games. Every single weekend. They will wear t-shirts, hats, scarves with those football players on their football games. They will chant. They will sit at home and watch on TV. They will search up the players and the formations of which players are playing and which are being transferred and which are being sold for certain amounts. They will be so obsessed with these football games, and that's kind of seen as completely normal. You know, the kind of like, oh, don't bother dad, he's watching his football on a Sunday, you know, and that it's so accepted that men are so into these like sports games. Women and Taylor Swift, they want to go to a few concerts, all of a sudden they're crazy and obsessed because they like Taylor Swift. When men are obsessed with things, it's just, oh, he's really passionate. When women are obsessed with things, it's kind of like insane and crazy. The Grinch would never do that. So that's kind of on the foundation of like, I'm not like other girls, and kind of why we think that it is bad to be like other girls. And to be honest, I'm like, I am a recovering I'm not like other girls girl. I have in the past, and I think even up until this point, we all have a level of internalized misogyny because we grow up in a system that has internalized this hatred for women. When you grow up under a patriarchy, it's impossible not to. So we all have this internalized misogyny, and it manifests in different ways. For me, I went to an all-girls school. So I feel like as a kind of teenager, so from like 11 to probably like up to like 17, 18, I wasn't really around guys. And so I feel like I didn't really experience the kind of I'm not like other girls thing, because I wanted to be like other girls. Like I was surrounded by so many incredible girls. All I knew was being surrounded by girls. And so I loved them, and I thought, God, all these girls are so beautiful and smart and funny, and I wanted to be like other girls. And then I kind of went out into, I guess, like the world and started being around men. Ooh. And then I think there's no one point where it started, but I definitely started to deem girly things as less than. I didn't wear makeup for years. And I don't really know why it started. I think it started as quite an innocent thing. It started as I want to like my face naturally. I think it started as I travel in a backpack, and so I don't have space for makeup, and so not wearing makeup is very practical. It started for a lot of things. But then I think it almost became this I'm better than you game. I like my face without makeup, and you have to wear makeup to like your face, so I'm better than you. And I really did feel that way. I felt like you're shallow because you want to change your face and you want to wear makeup and it takes you 3 hours to get ready. And I'm better than you because I don't need to wear makeup and I can get ready in 5 minutes. And it's just this shame around wanting to do anything that is deemed girly because we so heavily belittle and shun anything that is inherently girly. And I think that is really changing. I think 2023 has been a really enormous year for girlhood. Barbie, Taylor Swift, Billie Eilish, What Was I Made For? Damn, can't even listen to that song without crying. So I think that's been great, but I just think it makes sense that we feel like this. And so I am definitely a recovering I'm not like other girls girl. Being an I'm not like other girls girl, there's a few directions I want to go with this, so please bear with me. I know I haven't been as most concise. Being an I'm not like other girls girl, I think it stops you connecting with other women as deeply as you desire to. It stops you having friends. Nothing gives me the ick more than when girls say, oh, I just prefer having guy friends. I don't really get on with other girls. But I mean, it's a shame as well. It doesn't really give me the ick because I think it's a shame because that type of belief system is a manifestation of this brainwashing that girls, as if we can kind of label an entire 50% of the population as one thing, are inherently less valued or less valuable and less interesting, less smart, less whatever, just less. But it stops you from making friends, and it stops you from connecting with people in a deep way. It stops you from having your girl group, because saying I'm not like other girls, what you really mean, when I said it or when I thought it, what I really meant is I'm better than other girls. That's what you really mean. But let's go into that, because what I think is really interesting is, like I said, you can't label an entire population of people by one thing. It's, if you think about what you actually mean when you say I'm not like other girls, what are you actually thinking about? What do you think? Who is the girl that you're thinking about? What you really mean is I'm not silly and ditzy and like pink, and I'm not super girly, and I'm not shallow and over emotional. What you really mean is I don't have all of the negative traits that society stereotypes women on. Newsflash, neither do any of us. That is just an image, a stereotype that has been created to belittle women. None of us are like that. None of us are like that girl, are like that stereotype. We are all these multifaceted, layered women with different interests and different perspectives, and some of us are really intelligent and some of us are really creative, and we all have these incredible layers. And when we say I'm not like other girls, it doesn't really mean anything. All you mean really when you say I'm not like other girls is I'm not the stupid stereotype that men, or not even men, the patriarchy has created to belittle women and keep them below us. And like, first of all, like, why do we have such an aversion to these things? Like, if we hate like super girly and pink things, and we think being super girly and wearing pink and wearing loads of makeup, we think that makes us stupid and less than. Think of Paris Hilton. Paris Hilton, I think, is kind of the pin-up of being girly, isn't she? Like, wearing pink, she has like super fashionable, loads of makeup. I'm not super into the Paris Hilton lore, but she is a genius businesswoman. Everything she does has been to manipulate in the best way and create an image around herself so she can build this enormous business and brand. She is a fucking genius. But we would all be like, oh, I'm not like her. I'm not like other girls. I'm better than Paris Hilton. Girl, what? Like, we live in this very individualistic culture where we all want to stand out. We all want this like kind of individual success, you know, whether it's like career or finances or family. Like, we all want to be the best. We want to have the best versions of things for ourselves. Our desire to kind of succeed makes us want to kind of climb to the highest levels of society, which is like being a man. What rank is higher in society than being a male? I think the irony of it all is our desire to be different and stand out and be individuals and be not like other girls is kind of the thing that makes us all the same. I think everybody thinks that they're different. Everyone has things that they're like, is this weird? Like, does anybody else do this? But if you spend 5 minutes on TikTok, Google on TikTok search the most niche, random things about yourself, and you will find that you are in fact like other girls. There are some things that I'm like, God, am I actually mental? Like, what is wrong with me? Why do I do this? I'll go on TikTok and someone will be explaining exactly the same thing that I've been experiencing, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm just like other girls. And I think that's great. And so I really just want to combat and deconstruct. I mean, I think this is kind of becoming more, people are becoming more and more aware of this now, is that the I'm not like other girls girl trope and line of conversation just perpetuates the idea that being a girl and being a woman is inherently less than being a man, and like they're burning all the witches even if you aren't one. When you try and diminish girly girl traits, feminine traits, stereotypical feminine traits, whatever it is, you know, when you're like, oh, I don't wear makeup, I'm not like other girls, oh, I'm quirky, I read fantasy books, I'm not like other girls, I'm a scientist, I'm not like other girls, all that does, it doesn't make you less of a woman. It doesn't, like, you're still like other girls, because you don't have to have all of these stereotypical girly traits to be like other girls. All you do is, one, perpetuate the idea that being a girl is inherently less than being a man. And 2, you remove your ability to connect with women and make connections and friends. And you remove your ability to do all of the beautiful things that I think women innately do so well. Like, women have always, since the beginning of time, come together in communities and groups of people and had women's circle, witches. We used to be witches. Getting together, like, women used to come together, and now, we're just so individualist because we all want to be successful, and because of our desire to be successful, we just feel like we have to fit into like being a man in a man's world and what they deem as successful. But we can reclaim that by saying, I'm exactly like other girls. And all of my happiest memories of my life have been shared with women, with friends, with my girlfriends. And like, that's literally why I made this podcast. I don't see this as a podcast. I see the podcast as a means of trying to connect with as many women with like-minded interests and like-minded opinions and just similar outlooks on life, so we can connect. I literally just want this to turn into an in real life collection of women, whether this becomes women's circles, meetups, retreats. I don't know that yet, but I know that I want to bring women together, because as I have embraced the idea that I'm not different from other girls, and we all have a desire to connect and love and be happy. We're all searching for a life that fulfills us. Maybe we have different surface level interests. Maybe we have different beliefs. We are different in some ways on the surface, but in the most important ways, I think we're also similar. And I think that is just so fucking cool. And I think girls can connect on such a deep level if we just allow ourselves to. So anyway, I'm exactly like other girls. I feel like that's probably where we're going to leave it. I don't think I have anything else to say on this topic apart from that. I feel like I talked for a while. Remember, if you have a question that you think would be good for a check-in jar question, fill out the form in the description. It can be anything. It can be, how are you? It can be like, what's your favorite meal of the day? What are you grateful for? What's your deepest, darkest secrets? Anything, and I'll put them in the jar. Remember, you're just like other girls. Like, I'm just like other girls. We're all just like other girls. Mwah. Love you. See you tomorrow.
Wow.